battle between freedom and tyranny, humanity and machinery. The fate of the clan shall be decided in... Titan here with another episode for Megatronic Legacy, another lore topic, the conflict between the Shirai Ryu and Lin Kuei. Previously I discussed the Genie lore and how its play in the Megatronic Legacy can have an effect. Today, we'll take a look at the rivalry between two clans of opposing Asian countries, the Shirai Ryu of Japan and the Lin Kuei of China. This won't just look into one character, but a multitude of them and the conflict surrounding them. Scorpion and Sub-Zero being the primary contenders of the subject, but also showcasing Rokuro, Ryoko, Sector, Cyrax, and Talatia. For more context into the characterization of Scorpion and Sub-Zero, the Force Snake is a good channel to look into. There's also a couple of sources such as the Mortal Kombat Wiki and Brusque Poet. All links will be in the description. Now that we have the prologue established,
get over here!
There's plenty of info regarding the conflict between the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu, so we'll stick with the first Mortal Kombat game as a base for all of them. In the first game, contestants of Earthrealm are invited to join the Mortal Kombat tournament by Shang Tsung. Two of the contestants are Sub-Zero and Scorpion. Sub-Zero, who would later be known as Bi-Han in another realm timeline, was an assassin sent by the Lin Kuei to kill Shang Tsung, and it's inferred that there are well-known rivals to him. He's also said to be a cold, stoic, and cunning warrior, not showing mercy to his enemies. Scorpion is Sub-Zero's rival, who is affiliated with the Shirai Ryu and was killed by him during the beginning of Mythology Sub-Zero. He'd even faced him at one point while in the Netherrealm. Throughout the first tournament, the contestants fought for the survival of Earth. Scorpion and Sub-Zero come face to face, the former being the victor. The series continued with a new Sub-Zero, whom we know him as Kuai Liang in the Netherrealm timeline, while the classic one being Noob Saibot, a wraith who returns after dying by Scorpion's hands. One thing to note is the rivalry between the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu. Similar to the likes of China and Japan having been rivals for such a long time, there's some resemblance in it, though not entirely. There were bitter enemies with the Lin Kuei, which is how the Shirai Ryu originated. A Lin Kuei warrior named Takeda grew weary of the Lin Kuei and left. The sudden departure was a serious crime and should be punished to death. Leaving China, he went to Japan and offered his teachings of ninjutsu to lords and generals there. The more these modified teachings spread throughout Japan, the more infuriated the Lin Kuei became, and thus, the rivalry grew to where it was during the original and in the Netherrealm timelines, save for MKX and 11. In this continuity, the Shirai Ryu was formed by a former Lin Kuei assassin during the feudal Chinese era. In 1621, a Lin Kuei warrior named Takeda grew tired of the clan's totalitarian regime and control of how the members should be placed, not having a choice of their own. He left the clan a few weeks after this realization and moves to Japan as his new home. Takeda offers his teachings of ninjutsu to the shoguns and lords of Japan. He also teaches his followers about the dangers of totalitarian rule in which the Lin Kuei was indoctrinated, those who live within that clan. It was there the rivalry between the Shirai Ryu and Lin Kuei was born. Throughout the 17th century and onwards, they all fought and died. There seemed to be no end to this dark war between clans. The places would be tested throughout wars not tied to tensions among Asian countries and would be taking sides with other factions. What separates the Shirai Ryu from the Lin Kuei is that they welcome warriors by the heart and not blood. While the attribute of bloodhood is appreciated, they won't determine their students in telling them where they should be, and are offered a job to where their role feels best utilized. The members of the Shirai Ryu can consist of members who would be considered warriors by heart, not blood. As a result, the clan would invite other worldly beings who utilize their talents for the benefit of the clan. Rokuro and Ryoko are brought into the clan before Shantae first discovered her father's sword from and aid her in their quest in finding both Kuika's lamp and the Godzilla egg. Ryoko could still have her hot-headed attitude, but not driven by vengeance that Shantae would slowly grow into after losing Hanzo in the end of the Shirai Ryu Crusaders. On an occasion, she'd butt heads with Shantae on what's best for them, arguing and fighting off the negative vibes hell gives off to those alive who tread there. In the mix, Rokuro is a calmer member of the group and can be the voice of reason. Being a more experienced fighter, he looked after Shantae in the way she fights and how she'll be better off utilizing his techniques. On a side note, Teletia is a kindred species born from the moon of Metrospheris, a Kinesialarian whom he and his father went to Earth in 1967. He was mentored in the Shirai Ryu during Hanzo Hisashi's absence. He can use his green sword to summon elemental puppets such as dinosaurs being made of rocks, trees, and dirt. I mentioned in my Shantae video where she, Ryoko, and Rokuro travel into the rings of Yalharix in search of Fukuoka. While we're wrapping this segment up, Teletia may play a small role in the Shirai Ryu Crusaders. However, he played a slightly bigger role in both Birth of Godzilla and Dark Redemption. He'd first traveled across the Earth and found Ryoko in Secret Land. Then in 1981, they start their search for Rokuro in the Genie realm, which would end up being the case after he and Magula escaped Mystica the first time. The Lin Kuei, being loosely based off of the ancient Chinese clan, are one of the most feared factions throughout Asia and are considered dangerous, deadly, calculative, and powerful. The members raised by birth and thrive on evil intentions of those whom pay for their works. Beyond that, relationships, emotion, and compassion are weaknesses to the clan. Showing these are a sign of treason. Throughout Megatronic Legacy's continuity, the Lin Kuei's leaders have led their clan into power. But as time went by, one individual named Shang Han introduces concepts of control and authoritarianism into the clan. He felt it would best suit the clan and make warriors much stronger than those without it. This continued throughout the industrial era and the two world wars. And so far, the Lin Kuei remains in power, though not nearly as powerful as it once was on its own. On the other hand, they make deals with other enemy factions or totalitarian militias into working with them, and doing as much as they could to gain more power. Bi-Han will be the Grand Master of the Lin Kuei. His cold, calculative, and intimidating stature would shape the clan into a merciless faction, determined to achieve his goals for power and industrial growth for his regime in China. Sector and Cyrex would be his subordinates in helping him achieve his goals, the former being the more heinous of the two. I mentioned this in my Velvet video that he'd betrayed Nasinork and Thelvadam to steal the Godzilla egg in Iran. You can check it out in the description for context. While there aren't any notable members of the clan, Sub-Zero's characteristics are similar to his official persona, but a more sinister vibe added to him. A majority of the Lin Kuei during the early 1950s would consist of cyber Lin Kuei warriors akin to Smokes in MKX, and remaining humans who are still being cyberized. While Bi-Han's reason for not being cyberized is not yet confirmed, his intentions are to remove human emotion and free will from his members. Following Queen Zappel's 1952 election in the Genie realm, the Lin Kuei emerges from the shadows and plots an assault on the Shirai Ryu. This will go into the conflict between the Shirai Ryu and how followers of said clan had one grudge over another. Some will believe that governing their independence at a wider level is the way. Some defy that notion and would want to keep their free will. This would also go into how Hanzo Hisashi met Kuoka, got married, and why they disappeared after Shantae was born. For starters, this would take place in 1953, nearly a year prior to Gojira's first appearance in Japan. The Shirai Ryu believe that Godzilla is an ancient beast from a long-lost legacy of prehistoric species. Thus, they also hope that no nuclear catastrophe will attract a creature such as that. Sub-Zero and his minions, Sector and Cyrex, before cyberization, plot their attacks on the Shirai Ryu before proceeding to their next move. He was told about an ancient myth of Godzilla and wishes to see it come to fruition. Doing so would do his clan a major favor. Throughout the story, the Shirai Ryu and Lin Kuei fought over each other, which would result in either of them interfering with America's use of nuclear weapons or otherwise. But while that's going on, we see what Bi-Han and Hanzo Hisashi have for why they are after the US for the use of nuclear weapons. The former being his plans to using them for cleaning up anti-communist planes while transforming them into his own regime. The latter preventing catastrophic creations from even being in totalitarian hands. Also noting this takes place 6 years after the end of World War II, meaning that there's still going to be political scars from both groups. Something that's worth noting is Zerg's alliance with the Lin Kuei, following the Baraka's betrayal to the Emperor. Etna and Mekai freed Barak from his capture and killed half of the gang. With the Baraka pushed aside, Zerg focused on joining forces with Sub-Zero's clan. He offers us technological advances for the Lin Kuei to cyberize his assassins. This was a perfect opportunity for Bi-Han to achieve his goal, but there is a caveat to the alliance. Bi-Han would need to share his spot in power with him. essentially turning it into a Zerg Lin Kuei syndicalist regime. This didn't sit well with Bi-Han and plots to steal what remained of an already weakened socialist dictator from the progressive Fallout saga. But as time went on, the Shirai Ryu and the Genies became allies and were able to overpower the Lin Kuei. With this victory, the Genies and the Shirai Ryu ninjas formed relationships with them. Queen Zapple would already have a consort prior to clans of conflict. Kuika and Hanzo would be next. This would explain how Shantae would be conceived as their half-Genie child. The one thing to touch on before proceeding to Genie's trust is how Hanzo and Kuika disappeared. Hanzo got surrounded by a group of Misilican-aligned enemies who are hell-bent into taking Genies because they have a vile history with them. One of the members, Etna, uses a demonic rune which can turn anyone into weapons. This results Scorpion to be turned into a sword and then take Kuika's lamp. However, Shirai Ryu forces came to stop them and went into an interdimensional fight which resulted into losing Kuika's lamp into Jarl Helrix while fleeing with Hanzo's sword into Turkey years later. Following the catastrophic ending of Awakening of Godzilla, Shantae and her mother vanished into debris caused by the realm's collapse due to Ripto stealing Zapple's emblem. But as things were looking bad, Queen Zapple comes to Shantae regarding the shutdown. She demands that Shantae finds the emblem to fix it. However, she declares in searching for her missing father in Jarl Helrix and intended to use Godzilla, who also got lost in the collapse, to do so. Among Zapple's political group, her king comes to her and suggests that he and a few of his allies could help Shantae claim her father back, and mother who is still not freed, as she finds the emblem somewhere in the Genie realm. As the story continues, alongside Dark Redemption up until before Basilica commits the unthinkable sin, Energon Fusion, a topic to be covered with Megatronic's convoy. Shantae goes into crumbled debris beneath the Genie realm, and found signs of where Zapple's emblem is. On the flip side, her king and his allies find out that Godzilla burrowed his way into hell and all plunge in there. They eventually find Godzilla before entering the city of Dis, and go deeper into the lower rings. But while they do reach the circle of traitors, Godzilla begins melting the realm's icy prison. This not only frees Hanzo Hisashi, this also frees Sub-Zero with a dark essence covering him. It's speculated Megatronic's convoy used his remaining life force and puts it into Bi-Han's body, and disappears before they do anything about it. They take Scorpion with them and with Godzilla by their side. He crawls back up to where they came from before entering. Shantae succeeds in finding the emblem and meets with the king's crew. The Genie realm is restored and her family is reunited. Before wrapping up this part, I want to discuss my takes on who can be in which team. Shantae's can consist of Vera and Plink, whereas Zapple's king and herself, alongside with her bodyguard Harmony. Both teams would occasionally reference their experiences from previous entries which tie into the story. I mean, MK11 couldn't do it so well, so I might as well do it more coherently. The Lin Kuei is a fearsome Chinese clan which preys upon their enemies for power. But as time went on, Takeda leaves and forms his own in Japan with his skills and abilities. This infuriates the Lin Kuei to no end and are hell-bent to destroying them no matter the cost. For years, the clans fought with both their members shedding their blood into the battlefield. Their positions for power would be tested in the Cold War era. While the Lin Kuei works under communist power, the Shirai Ryu fights against it. The latest chapter into this violent conflict would soon fall onto Shantae and her quest to reunite her family. Bi-Han's legacy has been to train all of his warriors and strip them of their emotion and compassion, as these were considered treason should anyone show them in his clan, while that of Hanzo's has been to promote his clan by heart and family, the more humane of the two. The fight between the Shirai Ryu and Lin Kuei has been a thing for quite some time in both timelines in the Mortal Kombat universe. Their alignments tend to range greatly, the NetherRealm version having them both become good in the end. This continuity wouldn't be too different other than making it a bit more cohesive than what NetherRealm's team would make for them to be. I think it's clear this will have a pretty decent part in the Megatronic Legacy lore. Before we wrap this up, the next episode will be Ripto, the Shorty. Thanks for watching, feel free to subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Over and out.